Hello, friends. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at some of the other verb forms we use to talk about the future. If you didn't watch the first future forms video, you might want to go back and review it before this one, just to see some of the basic verb forms we use to talk about the future in English. So in this one, we're building on that and looking at some of the other forms that we tend to use to talk about the future. So in this video, we will be looking at 4 more future forms: the future progressive, the future perfect, some modal verbs to talk about the future, and just some basic verbs whose meaning is talking about the future. So first, let's look at the future progressive. So the basic future progressive is using will be plus your main verb and ing. For example, I will be living here for many years. So here, if we use the main verb live, then the full verb would be will be living. We can also contract this form, which is actually what we do when we're speaking. If we can contract something, we will contract it when we're speaking in American English. So if we contracted it from will be living, we would just contract the will to the ul sound. So I'll be living here for many years, which is what you're more likely to hear in conversation. If we want to make it into a question, then we just take the helping verb from over here. Instead of saying you will be living here for many years, we would just move the helping verb over before the subject, like any other question. But we only move the will part. So will you be living here for many years would be the question for the future progressive. If we want to make it negative, then we would just use won't instead of will. So won't be plus the verb and ing. For example, I won't be living here much longer. Now, we can't really contract the subject with the won't because the will and not is already contracted as the won't. So won't be is just will not be living here much longer. So we use this form for talking about something that will be in progress or continuing in the future. So for example, will you be living here for many years? So we're talking about a future that's from now continuing into the future. So we're thinking about that whole time period from now into the future. So let's look at a sample little conversation here. Do you think you'll be working here next year? No, I'll probably be working at a different company. So we're thinking about the time period of next year, and this person would be using the future progressive. Do you think you will be working here next year? Because they're working there right now, and they're wondering if they'll still be working there 1 year from now. So we're thinking about the continuing future from now until next year. So in this case, the future progressive would be quite natural to use. We can also do the future progressive using going to. So like our 2 basic future forms are will and going to. So with the future progressive, we can use will or we can use going to with the ing verb. So for example, I am going to be living here for many years. Or to contract it, I'm going to be living here for many years. Now, if you're hearing this in conversation, you're not going to hear, I am going to be living here for many years. You're going to hear, I'm going to be. I'm going to be living here for many years. If we want to make it negative, we just add not after the helping verb. I'm not going to be living here much longer. She is not going to be, he is not going to be, like that. To make it a question, we just move the be helping verb before the subject. Are you going to be living here for many years? Is he going to be living here? Is she going to be living here? Just like that. So let's look at another one here, future perfect. So we're going from the future progressive to the future perfect. Now we're getting into some strange territory. So the future perfect would use will have plus the past participle form of a verb. For example, we will have lived here for many years. So will have lived is using, again, live is the main verb. For the main verb, we're using the past participle form, which for many verbs is just the ed form. Lived, worked, walked, talked. But for be, the past participle will be been. So we will have been here for many years. Again, we can contract the will with the subject. So we'll have lived here for many years, which is what you're more likely to hear. And to make it a question, once again, you just put the will before the subject. Will you have lived here for many years? To make it negative, we just use won't. You'll probably never hear will not have. We won't have lived here for long is making this into a negative form of the future perfect. So what do we use this for? We use the future perfect for talking about the past from the future. For talking about the past from the future. What does that mean? It means that when we're saying something, we are imagining that we are in the future looking at the past. So, for example, my wife and I have been married for 16 years. So this is true right now, but our anniversary is in October. So in October, we will have been married for 17 years. So right now, we're married for 16 years, but by October, which is in the future, we will have been married for 17 years. So I'm imagining that I'm talking about life in the future, but looking at the past 17 years we've been married. Or this is my first year in college. Hopefully 2 years from now, I will have graduated. So again, we can use the future perfect because they're talking about 2 years from now. They're imagining themselves in 2 years, looking back and saying that they have graduated. So if you remember what the perfect form is used for, like the present perfect. So the present perfect, we use it for talking about something that basically started in the past and it continues until now, or it happened in the past. So if we're talking about the future perfect, we're looking into the future, but something that happened before that. Now, I've got a bonus one for you. We learned about the future progressive and the future perfect. We can actually put them together and make the future perfect progressive. This is not a verb form you will see a lot, but it is possible. So to make the future perfect progressive, we combine the have been with will have been, and then our main verb is going to be ending in ing. We use this for talking about the continuing past from the future. So again, we're imagining ourselves in the future, but we're talking about something that was continuing in the past. So for example, I have been working here for 6 years. So this is the present perfect progressive. I have been working here for 6 years. I started working here 6 years ago, and I'm still working here now. So it started in the past, and it continues until now. So that's present perfect progressive. I've been working here for 6 years. But by the end of this school year, which is in the future, I will have been working here for 7 years. So all I'm doing is I'm taking this present perfect progressive, and I'm thinking about the situation in the future. So I'm just adding this will to make it in the future. Will have been working here for 7 years. Now, there was actually one time that I heard a non-native speaker of English use this future perfect progressive quite naturally. It just came out of his mouth in a meeting, and I thought, wow, that was amazing that he was able to use this verb tense without even thinking about it. So it does get used sometimes. Now let's look at some of the modal verbs we talk about the future with. We've got may, might, could, and should. Now these are probably very familiar words to you, but these modal verbs, we can use them for many different things, talking about the past, talking about the present, or talking about the future. So in this video, we're just talking about using these words to talk about the future. So may and might basically mean the same thing. So when we use them, we can use either one of them with the base form of the main verb. So we just take whatever form is in the dictionary. We don't change the verb at all. We use them for talking about weak prediction or weak certainty in the future. For example, Joe Biden might win the election. So I'm making a prediction, or I'm showing my certainty, but it's weak. I don't have a very strong feeling about that. Or I could say Donald Trump may win the election. So may win, might win, they mean basically the exact same thing. But they're saying that this is a weak prediction that I have. I'm not 100%. I'm probably less than 50% sure that this is going to happen. Now, using could is similar, but it's a little different. So could plus the base form of the verb. With these modals, you always use the base form. We use could for showing weak possibility or ability. So with may or might, we're showing prediction or certainty. With could, we're showing possibility or ability. So if I say Donald Trump could win the election, that means that it's possible that he could win it. If I say he may win the election, that's more my thinking about it or my feeling about it. I'm making a prediction. But if I say he could win the election, then I'm talking about maybe there's some polls that are being done that shows that it's possible for him to win the election. So it's not really about what I think or what I feel. It's what the evidence or the information is showing. Or it could go either way. This is actually an expression that Americans will use when they're not sure about what's going to happen in a situation. Like if two sports teams are playing a game together and you're not sure who's going to win, then you can say, it could go either way. So either this person could win or that person could win. This team could win or that team could win. You're not quite sure. So should, again, we use it with the base form of the verb. And we use should for showing expectation or belief, what we're expecting to happen or what we believe will happen. So this is stronger than may and might, and it's stronger than could. Should is a much stronger certainty. So Donald Trump should win the election. I don't know why that line showed up there. Donald Trump should win the election. So if I say Donald Trump should win the election, this is showing that I expect that he will win. Maybe all of the information is showing that he's most likely to win or he has the best chance of winning. In that case, I would say that he should win the election. Or if I look at the news for the weather and it says that there's a 90% chance that it's going to rain, then I would say, even though it's not raining right now, it should rain later today. So let's look at these side by side and see kind of the differences between them. So COVID-19 may be gone by next spring. COVID-19 might be gone by next spring. COVID-19 could be gone by next spring. COVID-19 should be gone by next spring. So these two here, the may and the might, basically mean the same thing. May be gone or might be gone. I'm just saying that this is something that is possible in the future, but I'm not very sure about it. I'm less than 50% sure about it. But it's more kind of like what I'm hoping. It might be gone. It may be gone. I'm not really using information to say this. I'm just kind of going with what I think or with what I feel. If I say it could be gone by next spring, then I'm saying that it is a possibility in the future. It's not a very strong possibility, but it is a possibility. And I would use could instead of may or might if I'm thinking about like scientific research that's happening, like if they're showing that the numbers of people who are infected are going down and down, then I think, okay, it could be gone by next spring based on the information that we have right now. If I say COVID-19 should be gone next spring, then I'm saying that the information is showing that there's a strong chance or a strong likelihood that it will be gone. So could and should, they're similar, but could is weak and should is much stronger. Okay, so finally, let's look at some verbs whose meaning means something about the future. So here are some common verbs that we use to talk about the future: want, would like, hope, plan, intend, and expect. Because the meaning of these verbs already means something about the future, then often they get used in the present simple tense or the present progressive tense because they already mean something about the future. So for example, we would use them with to plus the base form of the verb. Like here, I want to move to Hawaii. I would like to move to Hawaii. These two, the meaning is more or less the same. Would like is just a little bit more formal or a little bit more polite than want to. I want to move to Hawaii is like what you might say to your friends. I would like to move to Hawaii is what you might say in a more formal situation or to be more polite. So for example, with children, we would teach them to say, if they're asking for something, they would ask, I would like some juice, or I would like some milk, or I would like some cereal, please. It's more polite. If they say want, I want this, I want that, then it sounds kind of rude. But the meaning is more or less the same. I hope to move to Hawaii. Obviously, this is showing what you hope will happen. And I plan to move to Hawaii. Again, this is what you're planning to do. I intend to move to Hawaii. This is very similar to plan. I plan to and I intend to. Intend is just a little bit higher level in the vocabulary. So plan to is very common. Intend to might be a little bit more formal or something you might write in a paper. I expect to move to Hawaii. It depends on the situation. It could mean that you don't have any control over something, but that it should happen. Or it could be like planning. So I expect to move to Hawaii means that I'm planning to do it. It sounds like much more certain. Like there's no reason why it shouldn't happen. Like I said, we often use these ones in the present simple form. We can also use them in the present progressive form. I'm wanting to move to Hawaii, but we can't use it with would like because would is already a modal verb. So again, with modal verbs, we use the base form of the verb, not the ing form. So that's why we can't use it with would like. I'm wanting to move to Hawaii. I'm hoping to move to Hawaii. I'm planning to move to Hawaii. I'm intending to move to Hawaii, and I'm expecting to move to Hawaii. You'll hear these verbs get used in the present progressive quite often, especially in speaking. There's not a real strong difference between I want to move to Hawaii and I'm wanting to move to Hawaii, except that it's showing that it's something that we're either thinking about or working on right now. All right, that's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your future forms.